Hola, ¿cómo está? It is Aubri Oshaé with the Ampersand podcast. And I like speaking in Spanish sometimes because it sounds so nice to me. Orque mijo, mija. I had I had an auntie that was Spanish. She was not by blood, but she was by. I guess she was by blood, but not like physical blood, but she was blood to me. May she rest in peace. And she always would say, mija, mijo. I'm like, girl, what? What is that? Get out of my face. But she was full of love. Today, we're going to revisit brokenness. The broken, the broke, the break. And last week we talked about, our last episode, if I decide to release this in the week or side by side, okay, shut the fuck up. We talked about how painful it is to be broken, but how there is an ampersand in brokenness. How you can be successful looking and broke at the same time. How you can be hardworking and broke. How you can be faith-filled and broke. How you can be full of love and brokenhearted. There's so many ands, there's so many ampersands with the word broke, break. How you also must be broken open to be filled. That's a real thing. Today we're going to talk about repair. We are. And we're going to talk about how painful the reparation process is. But first, I would like to read a poem to you. And it's titled Become Open / A Word from God. Here it goes, y'all. You have permission to break. Lay down the facade of strength. Reveal what you are right now. Vulnerable, angry, hurting, confused, tired, hungry, worried, stubborn, anxious, empty. You have permission to break, but I know you will not. You will continue to remain what you show yourself to be, and it's all a lie. So, keep stacking pride high. It'll soon tumble down. Trust me, you have permission to break. You will not lose yourself in the process. I will hold your pieces as you progress. Break. Become open. I must fill you up. Break. Become, period. Open, period. I must fill you up. I don't look at us as a vase with an opening at the top because that's easy to fill up. I look at us as a spear that needs to be cracked open to be filled. Because what's the point of busting open a vase when there's already an opening? I feel like the breaking is so necessary, and it is as important as the filling, if not more. You feel me? But today we're going to talk about the reparation process, the repairing process of it all. Okay, so let's get into it. My niece, who is 4 years old, was helping my mother, her grandmother, wash dishes. Now, she wasn't washing dishes per se, but she was on a little kid's chair by the sink while my mom was washing dishes. So my mom had like a glass bowl that was on the side and she was putting it to the side. Something happened and the glass fell on the floor. My niece jumped off her little chair and got her foot cut. So my mom called an ambulance to the house. The techs, they look at it and they say, yeah, she's going to have to go to the children's hospital. So we take my niece to the children's hospital. The children's hospital says, oh, you're going to have to send her to the children's hospital. The one where they have the cancer patients, the one where they have the children with heart issues, the real deal Holyfield. And because her injury was more extensive than they had surmised. So we do that. We get her at the hospital, and by that time, it's me there, my mother is there, and my other older cousin is there. My sister, my niece's mother, is 2 hours away. and she is in transit to come see her at the hospital. So the doctors look at it. They say, we're about to operate. It can only be a few of you in this room. So I decide to stay in, and my cousin decides to stay in because my mother is a little too sensitive to the surgical procedures. So envision it. There is a hospital bed. There is a 4-year-old little girl laying down, and there are about 4 nurses and a doctor. And my niece is freaking out. And during this process, the man brings out a needle, and he brings out all these other tools, straps on his gloves, and he's ready to go. Now keep in mind, my niece is super nervous. She is scared out of her mind because she knows that it's already been very painful up to this point. They even tried to put a numbing cream on the bottom of her foot that was cut, and she absolutely freaked out about that. She said that it caused her pain and it hurt very badly. So let's transition back to her being on this bed. The doctor has a needle and he has to administer numbing shots to the foot that has been broken open by the glass. This process caused her more pain than the breaking. It caused her more pain than the suturing. This process of numbing the foot in preparation for the reparation caused her more pain than the breaking. And it's so crazy because on the way to healing, there will be a process to it. So there is the breaking, there is the reparation, and then there's the healing. The breaking is painful. The repair is painful. And the healing is not as painful. It can be based on the type of injury you've had, or based on the type of breaking you had. But in the healing process, you're usually on your way to getting better. But the breaking, the repairing, and the first part of that healing, that is where the most pain, the most angst, the most stress and worry comes into place. As much as I wanted my niece to be exempt from the pain, I know in life we are never exempt from the consequences of our actions, whether good or bad. However, grace and mercy comes into place to help us cover the amount of pain and the length of the pain we'll experience. However, it is still painful during that experience through the application of grace and mercy, because the numbing shots were actually an application of mercy, to where when he started to sew her skin together, she wouldn't be in agonizing pain. When you look at it, the intense amount of pain experienced by the shots pale in comparison to the pain that would have been experienced if there were no numbing cream applied and he just went in and started sewing the skin together. When I tell you, in your reparation process, you will experience uncomfortability, you will experience tears, you will experience hurt and pain. But it is a part of the process to get to your healing. There is no healing process without pain. There is no birth without pain. There's no death without pain. Every transition that you go through will require an ounce of pain, whether it is emotional pain, whether it is spiritual pain, whether there is going to be something in the process that will be uncomfortable. However, during our reparation process, we have to be wise enough to understand who the doctor is. If we are not wise enough to understand who has the needle and thread in their hand, we will sabotage, we will delay our own healing. And I say that because my niece was fighting everybody in the room. In her eyes, The nurses that were holding her down and me and the doctor were all facilitating her pain, which we were. However, ampersand, there are people who will hold you down during your repairing process, and you will think they are facilitating and enabling your pain, which they are. However, they are not your enemies, they are actually your allies. And how can you tell the difference between an enemy and an ally? The fruit that they bear from their speech and their actions, more so their speech. Because if you looked at our actions, why are you holding me down while I'm experiencing this pain? But if you listen to our speech, we were letting her know that it will be okay. This is for your good. This is a part of the process. It's going to hurt. We understand. We are here for you. We were wiping her sweat, making sure that she was as comfortable as she could be during this time. Yet we were being fought at the same time, but we knew, because we had more wisdom, we had more experience, and we were stronger, that this was for her own good. Because if she would have fought that doctor, she would have delayed her healing and she would have still been walking on a badly injured foot. And it probably would have had an infection by now. And that infection, if untreated, can lead ultimately to your death. So sometimes a lot of us are walking on a cut foot, and that cut foot has turned into a whole infection, infected the whole body, and you're on your way to a slow, painful death because you would not go through the reparation process because that process was too painful. So yes, when you are going through your reparation process, the doctor will seem like the devil. You may not know who to trust. But the thing is, you have to examine what people are saying during that crucial time. Because sometimes what they profess will not line up with the pain that you feel. Because if I'm supposed to be okay, if you are in my corner, why do I feel this way? But those are not always mutually exclusive. Because sometimes the people who are walking with you through the most painful moments and holding you down while you go through this thing are the people who are facilitating your healing for a better, brighter, easier, painless day. Because now, even though that process was very hard for my niece, she is out of her boot and walking on her regular feet right now. But she had to go through that painful, intense moment. And guess what? The people who we were holding her down, but it was not easy for me to go through. A lot of the times, people who go with you through the reparation process are experiencing their own pain as well. Emotional pain is very, very real. So I look at that situation and I apply that very real world situation to the almost figurative breaking of my heart, of my self-esteem, even of my finances. And I know that I want to be made whole, and I know that I want to heal in these spaces. With that being said, there is a process to it all. There's no shortcuts. Because I cannot skip straight to the healing part. I have to go through the repairing part of it all too, which requires work, which requires uncomfortability, uneasiness, pain. There is a therapist who has this term called just heal, bro. Like, he has shirts, he has conferences and all of that stuff, and he advocates for black men's mental health, mental and spiritual, emotional, all the whole 9 yards. However, I know he doesn't believe that it's just that matter of fact and just that simple. Because to just say, just heal, bro, it invalidates all the processes that come before the healing. Because you have to have the breaking, you have to have somebody identify what needs to be sutured as a result of the breaking. what needs to be repaired. Then you have to go through the repairing process, which often is like the numbing, the shots, then the suturing, the resetting. Then you get to the healing process, which is a process in and of itself, which some people have to go through physical therapy, all of that. And by the end of your healing process, that's when you start feeling back to normal yourself. That's when the pain subsides. That's when you have more of the activity of your limbs, or you can walk more. You can do more of all of the things you used to do before the breaking. So since there is such a process to being made whole again, God, why break us in the first place? I think the answer may be that's one of the prime ways he can get our attention. I know that sounds really odd and obtuse. However, I do believe that through the breaking process, we can't depend on our own selves to put our own selves back together. There's going to have to be an external factor to help piece our pieces back together. And through that breaking, and through the reparation, and through the filling, and then through the healing, that requires us to become a new creature. It requires us to have a new faith and a new foundation that would not have come without that process. Why is pain such a part of the process? Pain is another way to get our attention. It's really a admission of us being alive on earth too. Pain is actually good for us because if we don't experience pain, we don't know something is wrong. And it will actually lead us to death. If I don't have pain in my fingers and I just put my hand on the stove and don't see it, I will lose my whole hand doing that stuff. But pain, instantly feeling something hot on your hand and lets you know, oh, protect yourself. It's a protection mechanism. And sometimes we have to endure that to get to the other side of better for us. But sometimes the facilitators of your most painful moments are the people that will bring you into your greatest glory. Take into account Jesus and Judas. Judas was necessary for Jesus to come, for Jesus to experience his full capacity of the Savior of the world. If it were not for Judas, who would have facilitated that, him being on the cross? He needed Judas to get on the cross. If it were not for him, how so? Somebody else could have did it, but Judas was the one. And you might think, what a crazy way to do that. But I think that Jesus would not have willingly walked up to the cross, climbed up there and nailed his own hands. He had to be betrayed, which broke him. Without that breaking, he would not have been pulled up on that cross because it was too painful. They said before he even got up there, before he knew the time was coming, he was sweating blood. That's how nervous he was. He needed Judas as the catalyst for him to be the salvation of the world. There are some things that are happening to us in our life that are the catalyst for us to start that ministry, for us to start that business, for us to go into a place to where we use our voice more often than not. Most times our breaking is for the healing of others around us. It seems very ethereal and just kind of, out there to say, but every breaking has a purpose and has a promise to it. But you have to be committed to going through the process, and you have to know who is around you, and you have to have people that will hold you down while you are going through the repairing process. Because if you do not go through the repairing process, there will be no full healing. Just won't happen. So I really don't have much else to say about the repairing. Maybe more will come to my mind later on. But I want you to think about the ampersand in the repairing process. Yes, it is painful and it is purposeful. Yes, the person who is doing the suturing is causing you discomfort and he is helping you to heal the right, correct way. If you train yourself to look for the ampersand, you won't always be so worried about the why. Because ampersands allow you to look at the feelings and the facts of things too, and know that two things can be true at the same time. And there are processes going on 2 and 3 times at a time. I'm working on my heart, but my self-esteem is healed. Like, it's so many things. So with this episode, I just want you to be encouraged. And I also want you to be able to identify where you are in the process, from broken to repair to healing. And sometimes you will understand where you are in the process by looking at what the healing looks like. So if I know I got cut on my foot badly and I want to be healed, I know what a healed foot looks like. So we're going to go from the healing on back. So if I know a healed foot looks like this and mine looks broken, I see the damage. This is freshly bruised and cut. Okay, I'm at the broken process. To get to the reparation process, I know that's going to take some stitches. So if I see stitches on my foot, okay, I know where I am in this process. I'm in the reparation process. And then once I see the boot on my foot and I see me going through, I'm in the healing process. And then when it is all said and done, I am totally healed because my foot looks like a regular foot. Now, there will be scars, but you will have the full function and activity of that limb, or just as much as you could have. Might be about 80-90%. But you'll be to as back as normal as possible. So sometimes you have to work from the end to the beginning to see where you should be or see where you are at in the process. I hope that makes sense to y'all. I don't want to belabor this subject. It's been really deep these past couple episodes and really thought-provoking. So next week, we're going to have like more lighthearted story times and stuff like that. I just want y'all to know that pain is normal. It really is on your journey to a better day. It's going to rain and it's going to be painful. But the thing is, every storm runs out of rain. Now, some of these storms be seeming like, God damn, baby, it's been going on for a goddamn month. When is it going to run out? But it will run out. And you know what a good day is going to be like because you've seen one before. And you know that like Maya Angelou said, there's always a rainbow in the clouds. There's always an ampersand to look at and to see and to remind you that there will be better. And if it is not okay right now, it is not the end, because it will always be okay in the end. So I'm just going to leave y'all with that. Once again, this has been your host, Aubri Oshaé. This has been the Ampersand Podcast, and I just want y'all to know. Come back next week because I'm going to have a story time, a ratchet story time for your asses. And we're going to just talk and we're gonna kick it, okay? We're going to fucking kick it. And I'm bringing more stuff to this channel. as well. On the YouTube side of things, I will start narrating shows that I like, because my commentary people that I watch shows with, they find it fucking hilarious. So if you want to watch some stuff and be entertained at the same time, visit the YouTube page, honey. I know y'all listen over there at Spotify, because I finally put the shows over there, and on Apple, all that shit where the podcast is be. But this is going to get better. It's going to get bigger. And I look forward to, spending more time with y'all. Okay, signing off. This has been the Ampersand Podcast. Always look for the ampersands in your life. Bye.